Holy moly.
All right. All right.
Hey, we're live, Dan.
What?
We're live now.
Oh, shit. You went live while I was grabbing my
You're
smoke?
Sneak-a-toke. Are you allowed to talk about that? What are the limits? You have this responsibility as a finance guru.
Oh.
You're a role model for many.
Oh, I know a lot of children follow me on the Twitter.
Well, but you live in Arizona and it's legal.
That's correct.
As legal as me drinking this beer here.
That's right. Or it's me drinking this spiked drink.
Dan, why don't you start this first ever? Well, no, this is my second live stream on YouTube, but back in the day, it was much easier. Now I have to do it through Lemon, which is in the corner above your head.
Yeah.
So
how many years has it been?
Since I did a live stream?
Yeah.
8 years. Boy, was I cutting edge. 2013 with Douglas Millett, who was like aerospace engineer, or he had an engineering degree and he was like an aerospace advocate. We talked about, and he was trying to create these like robotic farms. I found him interesting. So,
well, let me be the first to say, welcome back to the future.
Thank you, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Nobody's probably going to watch this, and we can assume that, right? And if we get like 2 people that go, "Oh, what's this?" and tune in, it'd be great. But the video should stay there, right? It's going to be there.
I'm assuming it stays on your channel from here on out. Yeah,
I sure hope so.
Great content.
Why don't you tell the people that watch the rerun,
right,
a little about yourself while I go turn off this white noise fan?
Okay. I am currently the co-host of Two Bulls in a China Shop podcast. We talk about stock trading in the markets, and really it was a show that started just to me and my co-host Kyle just blundering our way through and documenting our stock trading. But I come from a background of audio engineering. I was several bands here in Tucson, and got into my own audio recording and engineering to do our own albums and stuff. So yeah, podcast host with a musical background. Just managed to switch to trading full time for a living. So we'll see. We'll talk in a year, and then I'll tell you how it went.
This is your trial phase.
Yeah.
Where it could all blow up.
Oh yeah, yeah. It could, but right now,
plenty of time in your life to work again.
Exactly, and right now, it's never been easier to find a job. Like everywhere needs help so bad, so I'm not taking a huge risk when it comes to that. Worst thing happens is I go get another job for a paycheck.
It's interesting to see what will happen with that, because I wonder if the jobs will remain open. I wonder if there will be a hiring frenzy, and then the economy might retract, and then they won't be able to sustain all those positions. I just don't know. Everything seems very difficult to predict, although certain things have been predicted by myself and my conspiracy brain that are coming true. I'm interested in practicing a more biographical approach to things. So we actually know each other fairly well. As little as, because we didn't grow up together. We went to high school together.
That is true.
We were teenagers.
We were teenagers together for sure.
We were teenagers at the same time. Both class of 2000. Class of 2000, which makes us, I think, the cusp of the elder millennial.
Yeah, it's true.
We remember both worlds.
Man. I remember going to my grandma's house, and she had a rotary phone. Yeah. God.
Yeah. Rotary phones.
Yeah, life in the 80s was crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing how by 2000 not much was that different. It wasn't really that different from like the 60s. you were making phone calls everywhere. Nobody had a mobile phone. I didn't know anybody, but we
Yeah.
all had pagers.
Yeah,
For some reason,
beeper. Yeah.
we all needed pagers at high school.
You had to have it. Yeah.
And I had to have one, but yet I literally never needed it. Just like
Right.
maybe it made mom feel a little bit better, but it was just fashion. It was something you put on your belt clip. And that was really our generation. That didn't last long. It was just a few. It made it to the
5
movie
years.
Clueless. I think it was epitomized in Clueless. They had pagers in that movie, right?
Yeah. Yeah. God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cell phones did not take long to follow. I mean, they existed alongside pagers, but they really overtook them. Yeah. Nobody.
But it's still like by 2000, it wasn't that different, and really things are still like, according to what we grew up in the 80s, and we expected. I mean, the obvious things, the flying cars, blah blah. But that Blade Runner was set for what, the year 2021, was it?
I think so.
Yeah, very different vision.
Yeah.
It makes me think they really believed in themselves a lot more than we do today. We can't accomplish this shit, but they're like, now we're 40 years, nothing we can't do in 40
Piece
years.
of cake. We got it all solved in 40 years. We're still thinking that, right? Like, all these problems, they'll be gone in 40 years when technology takes care of it.
Yeah. You know what? If they had never faked the moon landing, they never would have given all these people these absurd expectations. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those sons of bitches. How'd they get the flags up there? Damn it. Never figured that one out.
Flags?
Yeah. You
mean that?
Do you mean that you believe the moon landing was faked?
Oh, yeah. They faked the shit out of that. But,
Really? Okay. Well, then explain to me satellites.
Wait. You can get satellites in the air. What do you mean?
I'm saying, if we didn't go to the moon, how did our development of rockets and orbital satellites develop quite nicely with the timeline of the moon landing?
I don't see why you wouldn't have suborbital technology. I guess I don't understand your conflict there.
I'm saying there's nothing to me that says we couldn't have gone to the moon in that era, when we were also putting satellites in orbit, rocket launches all the time. I mean, these were public rocket launches. You had amateur astronomers with telescopes that could see these shuttles going up and out there. I mean, it was a big national pastime. I just don't think the level of things it would have taken to fake that could, like there's a mathematical equation for conspiracies, and the bigger they are, the more people are involved, which is the harder to keep it quiet. Now, I know because we're talking about it, it's not quiet, but there's nothing to me that says we couldn't have gone to the moon the way we did.
Yeah, which is not why we're here to talk. So
no. I'm also not saying I'm not an expert. We might not have gone to the moon. I just think we did.
I know the things that I've gone both ways on it, and this is, it's like I'm not really set in stone about anything. I think it's one of the most dangerous things you can do is hold on to a belief. Just
wholeheartedly. If new evidence can't sway your opinion, I'm skeptical of your opinion.
Yeah, and I definitely have gone back and forth on the moon landing, and to where it doesn't make any sense to me in the latest stuff I've looked at that it could possibly have been done. But
it's certainly fakeable. It's easier to fake it than to go there. But I think it's harder to keep the secret of having faked it without real evidence and data coming out to back up that it was in fact fake.
Well, you know how much things are,
this is an era of disinformation.
Scuttled.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you can put the information that proves right out into the people, but spin it in a way. I don't know. There's all kinds of ways to even put the information out right in front of people and still keep people believing the false narrative. And vice versa. And we've seen a lot of that in this last couple years. I mean, it seems to just be getting a little nuttier every
it
year.
it sure does. And I think it's social media echo chambers are horrible for our society because they're doing this very thing, making it harder to decipher what is real and what's not. People bolstering each other with things they want to believe. Because ultimately, my personal opinion, it comes down to storytelling. We've always told our history through stories. Even if it's a history textbook, it's just a more dry type of story, right? So misinformation, disinformation, like I often tell my friends, we live in a golden age of entertainment. Like storytelling right now is off the hook, top notch, amazing in my opinion. But that goes along with everything else. Like the reason information can get so muddled is it's never been easier for people to spin it and tell their story, their narrative, right? To control the message. It's wild, but I really think storytelling is at the heart of it. Like if you wanted to be a propaganda spinster, like learn storytelling, learn how these emotional hooks work, because that's really what you're doing when you're propaganda is like, how do I tell this story to get my listener emotionally involved and emotionally reacting in the way I want them to? And it's the same thing like a Hollywood movie. How do I tell this story to get the watcher emotionally involved and reacting the way I want them to? It's the exact same thing in my personal
Certainly. There's definitely been a lot of reason to believe that propagandists have always been deeply embedded. That is usually government propagandists or corporate propagandists have been deeply embedded in our media systems. Always been that way. So, it's something we are responsible for looking out for whether it's coming from Rachel Maddow or Alex Jones. You got to be careful because they've both been proven to weave bullshit and just get like very devoted fans. So I think no matter where it's coming, I'm seeing conspiracy theories everywhere. Just sometimes they look like mainstream news, but also there's way more popularity in conspiracy theory today, or at least it's more out in the open just because of the internet. I think that's really it. Seems to be that's it. Seems that most people are still like not fringe thinking, but
think about it when we're talking about like when we were kids in the 80s and how you're saying even when we graduated 2000, it wasn't that far away from how they were living and talking and doing social stuff in the 60s. If it's the 80s and I come up with this idea that, oh, okay, they've genetically engineered this soft drink to do this thing. Okay, I can tell as many fucking people as I can. I mean, I can really try to push this message, but it's not going to go anywhere, right? People aren't going to hear. Maybe 100 people hear it. Maybe 2 are interested in like, oh, I like what he's saying there. But it's not enough momentum and energy to make it to the entire country, right? It's going to, at very least, it's going to take time to filter through. But now we live in an era of like instant fucking information. Like we're doing this live stream right now. The potential for people to just sit and listen and hear our ideas is exponentially greater. So it's just easier for any given conspiracy to proliferate in today's era.
And frankly, that's why just your point there about the fact that we are sitting here live streaming. But also it's way harder to live stream now than it was a year ago for that very reason. I believe that this concern about making this powerful tool generally accessible is plus the value of it. Like it used to be, I think it seemed like 8 years ago, they were experimenting and just kind of trying to get people to get used to this idea of live stream interviewing like that on Google Hangouts and live to YouTube. And they were willing to give it away for free. Very few people used it. It was not a big burden on their system. And then it wasn't used mostly by conspiracy theorists. And I think what happened was like you had this problem of these people putting out information that was not what they wanted. The censors did not want. And also just like way more people using the function than ever. And that's my theory. I haven't researched, but it seems to be the last year, this journey of just getting to this basic live stream that very few has been a lot of work, but that's the point. You start there. And I'm going to have to build it up very slowly. It's a very interesting thing. Just to get to this thing where we have these cameras through Melon is been way too
It's a journey.
I mean, that was easy, but I had to go through some shit to realize how much has changed. So yeah, mostly you have to pay to live stream, but I'm trying to figure out how to do it.
Well,
I'm not sure there's going to be a way. I think I might, if I ever it's frozen. Okay. Not anymore.
That's back.
Yeah. But I wanted to inquire and talk a little bit about your life.
Okay.
Because I don't remember where you're from. Are you from Tucson?
No, I'm actually from Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland. Oh,
East
so you
Coast
are
boy.
You are an East Coast boy.
Yeah, that's right.
How much time did you do in Baltimore?
I moved to Arizona when I was 5, and I lived here a year, and then I moved back to Maryland, and I moved back here. I moved to Tucson in 93.
Okay.
1993.
So that's kind of similar. I grew up, moved around California a little bit, and then ended up in Tucson in 96. So you did a few years in all of your junior high and high school and a little bit of elementary.
Yeah, a couple of years of elementary.
Do you remember where you were when Kurt Cobain died? Did you care?
I remember where I was when I heard about it.
Did you care? Did it matter to you?
No, not in the slightest.
Were you a religious boy?
I was brought up very fundamentalist religious, and I struggled with that for quite a while. So at the time, I was still caught between what I felt and how I interpreted the world and what I was programmed to feel and interpret the world. They were different, and I spent my youth struggling between those two things. So at the time, I was in one or the other. I don't remember which I would have been.
Seems like by the time I knew you in high school, which I feel like really was probably more like the last year or two.
Yeah.
Even though we were there the whole time, I feel like it
was junior, senior years when we knew each other for sure.
Right. By then, it seems like you were already over it. I know that you were goofing off at seminary, skipping seminary.
Oh yeah.
I knew a lot of like stoners and fucking just total punk kids that were all going to seminary in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's because you weren't, right? That was the whole idea. You got to sneak a shot of whiskey in or something.
So yeah, for those of you not informed, the Mormon LDS Church has a seminary program. I had to take 0 hour, so we all had to show up an hour early before school.
I was like, fuck that.
Fuck that, right?
When I was a kid, I was like, oh my God, who has to do that? And then there was other like advanced students who did the same thing for
just to get extra credits. Yeah.
Right.
I did it because legally, like my parents had to sign this thing for the school. I would always get it before or after lunch. That was my deal. I would get my schedule changed until seminary was before or after lunch, because I knew my parents had to sign a form that legally took me out of school for those hours every day. Like the school became not legally responsible or liable in any way, which meant that no matter what the seminary teacher says to the school, I don't get any trouble for whatever I do. I can go do whatever I want, and the school doesn't care as long as I get back and I'm in my seat when the bell rings for the next class period. So I could ditch with no repercussions.
Okay, yeah.
And I definitely wasn't the only one that was aware of that. But yeah, so there were a lot of kids. But really what it comes down to is that struggle. Like I had made up my mind that my emotions and feelings and interpretation of reality was the one I had to go with, right? I have to. We all do. If you're not, please find a way to reconcile. You being yourself is the path to happiness, right?
Right.
You can't live by somebody else's interpretations and whatnot. But anyway, the social pressure to keep existing in that world with your family is so strong. That's where the term Jack Mormon comes. Is people they're like, I know I'm not a Mormon, but I still have to participate in the community and the social gatherings and the social constructs of this church. So I'll go to church, and while I'm around church people, I'll act churchy, and then I'll go have my real friends and my other friends and do what I will. Yeah,
that's the schism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always, it's hard to get around talking about the Scientology thing. So we have that in common. We're both grew up in weird religions. Mine's weirder.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yours is weirder. I'm, though, honestly, if I had to make a choice, I don't think I could choose. Like, if I could switch.
It makes some sense psychologically for me to want to believe the moon landing was faked when L. Ron Hubbard did sex rituals with the guy that opened the Jet Propulsion Lab. You know that.
Yeah, right. No,
it's kind of like, I'm trying to remember his name right now.
Howard Hughes? No.
Also, they were also buddies with Aleister Crowley, but it was, oh God, it's right on the tip of my tongue.
So was L. Ron Hubbard. I'm sorry. Bad joke. That's what the Jet Propulsion Labs guy said to L. Ron Hubbard. No, but back to your original question, I gave 2 shits about Kurt Cobain's death, and I'm still that way about celebrity deaths.
Well, if you care about the artist a lot, I think you would. Would you? I mean, who's your favorite living singer, songwriter, or what?
Living Mark Knopfler. He is an older guy. He'll die any day now.
Mark Knopfler. Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, guy from Dire Straits.
Yeah, okay. Dire Straits, good old. Well, so how would you feel if he died tomorrow?
I would be disappointed I won't get any new music, but it will not emotionally affect me in any way.
Right.
Plus, I will feel no emotions.
Yeah, and that's different than Kurt Cobain in the 27 Club, too young to die. This guy had a long career ahead of him.
I've been shocked before, like, holy shit, I can't believe that's happened. Like, Princess Diana died. Holy shit. That's it. We're gonna be talking about that for a while, but I've never been like bummed out or sad. Maybe the same level of response if the actor got fired from the sequel I was looking forward to. Like, I'm disappointed, like, as a consumer, I can't buy that product anymore. Like, they discontinued Kurt Cobain and Nirvana? Fuck. Oh well.
Yeah.
Gotta find a new band to like.
Yeah, from then on, it was easier to just make Pearl Jam my favorite.
Yeah, right.
That was it.
Hey, 10 was a great album. Still is. Holds up.
I think their first 5 are good albums. I think they're all good until Riot Act. But everything got bad after 9/11, man. Like, everything did. You ever notice
the quality of music?
I know all these. There was only a few good records after that for a while. But I remember this slew of great records leading up to that event. 2000, 2001.
You don't think that's just a product of growing up and you've got that window where you're absorbing new music and then you stop?
It is kind of what's interesting about being the age 18 on that day. Like, or you might have been 19.
Yeah, I was.
But like being 18 on that day was like, wow, my whole adult life is now going to be determined by. I had no idea, but in retrospect, my entire adult life has now been completely changed.
Yeah.
Like the entire world's going to change. But I didn't realize it at that time. It didn't seem like everything was so pivotal, but all the aftermath since then. What did you do? I think like we we've kept in pretty good touch most of this 20 years since high school.
Yeah.
But like, but there's a lot of gaps and things I learned that like I didn't know you owned a house and rented it out to people and had to evict them. Like that's something you talked about on your podcast, and I was like, I didn't know all that shit. Or maybe we talked about it because we were texting one day about my eviction problem this year that I had. But yeah, you did talk about it on your show, and you know, so there's
it's a shitty
gaps.
process.
When that I bet that was a while ago, right? When was that?
2017.
Oh, recent. Okay.
4 years ago.
Yeah, no. All right.
Yeah.
I remember you've always had some like scheme. Like me.
Yeah.
Right. You're like,
what can I do today?
Well, it's like, you've always like had us kind of, you didn't go get your bachelor's degree and start a career. You tried to, like I went out to LA and went out to Portland and started bands and did community radio and various things that I wonder too. Like I don't know why I didn't do more of that in high school. You did the broadcasting thing, so I'd watch you do the school news most mornings.
That was fun.
Yeah. On the little closed circuit television system we had. And so you kind of got the taste in broadcasting way back.
Way back.
How
VHS was still the prevailing method of
for sure
making video.
Yeah. There was a kid.
You haven't edited on a VHS to VHS rig with one of the little control stations with a dial. Yeah, you don't know what you're missing.
With analog video effects, go or whatever.
Yeah, star wipe, and we're out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you must have had like mid-grade, not quite professional, not quite amateur equipment in there.
It was the late 90s, and we had professional grade late 80s, early 90s. So it wasn't bad at all.
Hand-me-downs.
There were kids. It was a vocational class, and there were kids that went from the class to the news station and to working on like films and stuff. It got you ready for sure.
That's cool. The Mountain View High School, it actually had quite a few programs that took kids directly from high school into jobs. Their automotive program was top notch, and I did 1 year. I did the freshman level class in my senior year. And since then I've rebuilt motors. Since then I've been on the radio. Since then I played in jazz ensembles. All these things I could have done and been basically ready to enter. I wouldn't say that the jazz training you got at that high school would have allowed you to just go start playing with the big boys at the clubs, but I
didn't do music in Mountain View, so
you didn't do that. No, but we did both start playing.
We both played music in high school. Yeah, I played music outside of school for sure. Though I regret not. I took the flute as a child. I regret not taking jazz flute in high school because that would be an amazing skill to carry over. I would be using it today if I played jazz flute for sure.
To seduce women.
Oh, why else would you play the flute?
Yeah.
Come on, Sean.
Show your soft side. I got into the flute for a minute. I loved it. I thought it was very fun. It is. For me, the interface of the instrument is what makes it speaks to different people somehow. I still struggle with the guitar, which was my first thing back in those days. But the interface of the piano is so much more clear to me.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes 1,000% more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just straightforward all the way down the line. But the guitar, it just boggles. I need a lot more practice. And I don't find enough time.
It's you've got to be spending at least 15 minutes a day if you're doing a musical instrument, whether you're a master or not. Like you got to have that time. But for me, like when I started finger picking the guitar, that's when the instrument really clicked. as to all the stuff you can do. You can make it sound like a piano if you're finger picking right. You know, that little old finger picking jazz and folk.
Right. They're definitely great instruments.
Yeah.
I got my first guitar in years. Where can you see it? Here it is. It's just a cheapo PV.
Yeah.
But I was at a garage sale picking up something else, and
There was.
it was like $20, and I have since recorded something with it. So, and actually, I put that out.
I picked up my friend's guitar the other day, and my calluses are all gone because it's been like 3 years since I was regularly picking up my guitar, and it hurt so bad I couldn't play anything. I was like, nope, thank you.
How many bands have you been in? At least since high school.
I would say 2. I went
2.
through 2 bands. Yeah.
Which
one for several years and one for just a short time that didn't really go far. What were they?
Yeah, which one was the one that actually you had some gigs? I remember
the
you getting a little bit
Wolfgang.
excited about the Wolfgang. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we played Rialto a couple times.
Yeah, I
here
think
in
I
Tucson.
saw you. I saw you there.
Yeah, not saying I played great those nights, but we played those nights.
Well,
I was very spotty as a performer. I could have amazing nights and I could have horrible nights. Like never knew. No consistency is what I'm saying. That held me back.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know if you were practicing steadily because you had to work or whatever.
We had steady practice. It's just my emotional state would be erratic. And if I can't always perform if I'm not in a good place, you know.
Comedians. I did comedy for a minute, for a few years. And that I was always able to go and play music, I felt like, and I'm probably lying to myself to say I always performed at professional or good form, but yeah, I'd probably be lying to myself if I really said that all of my musical performances were top notch and not affected by my mood. But I think for the most part, I was always far more confident and ready to come and play music than I was with comedy. It's scary. Every single time I was frightened, but also if I was in a shitty mood, best thing is just not to go out that night. If you're in a shitty mood, don't go and get on the mic that night because you're just not. Unless you can, but then there are comedians who are in shitty moods, but they know how to just turn it and do the routine. It's a job. It's like a song. It's like a song that you play.
Right.
The rhythm, was never the timing. That good. Yeah. I was never that good. Some sets I wouldn't even tell a joke. Other sets, I would write a lot of jokes. I wrote a lot of jokes. Of course, I didn't really understand how punchlines worked at first.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just kind of imitating comedians. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, I could never, and I still see that as being an extremely difficult aspect of it if I ever were stupid enough to try it again.
What was the joke that got the biggest laugh of your comedic career?
I think remember? It was I think it was the either the 402, which is I'm dyslexic, so I always smoke at 402. And then again at 420, just to be sure.
Just to be sure.
But then
then again at 420, yeah.
Just make sure. And then there's a bit of a routine, takes a minute. I'm not going to do it. About going to the gym and dealing with my homophobia.
Oh, okay.
That one has a punchline that kind of gets you to think about for a second, but I always got rolling laughter. Like one wave people got it right away, and then the second wave that took them, that was.
He was a thinker.
I could probably do that today and it would still be as good. It was like 8-year-old bit. Shit, almost 10. It's like 10 years. Yeah, 10 years when I first
2012.
got on the mic. And the host was Ron Funches. He's pretty
Holy
well known
shit!
today.
I like Ron
Yeah.
Funches.
Yeah.
I love his voice acting on Harley Quinn.
I haven't seen him
Yeah.
too much, but yeah, I follow him on Twitter and he's a nice guy. He was part of that wave of Portland comedians that blew up and moved to LA and stuff. But he was hosting at Helium Comedy Club the first night that I got up on the mic. So, and it was actually, I did very well that night, like good beginner's luck. But
Right.
Helium was a good place to do it. It was like, I don't know, everybody's there ready to laugh. It's a real comedy club. Then they're like the same night, then you'd have a great set, do Helium. Then you'd go down to this place called Suki's, and it was this karaoke bar at the basement of a travel lodge in just off of downtown Portland. And nobody wanted there to be a comedy show. Nobody cared about it. The stage was awkward. The sound system was horrible. It was the worst place, but every comedian went there. All the best comics went down there, and you'd have like all these, just a string of bombs, just everybody going in and bombing. But then one of our headliners would come in, everybody would pay attention, and they'd just crush it, and it would be worth it. The whole night would be worth it just to watch all
Just
these
for that one
bombs,
person.
for that 1 5-minute crushing surprise moment where they try new material and it gets crazy. It was,
Right.
yeah, it was an amazing time. It was very creative, and nobody, it was very fun. I'm glad I was part of it, but I kind of crashed and burned, as I did many times in my life. Now, see, I mean, how do you feel about all of your schemes, all of your efforts to skip ahead in life? Try to do some. I mean,
to not
now you're doing a podcast.
Conventionally.
Yeah. Yes, now you're doing a podcast, and like it's been fits and starts. I'm sure you're willing to admit that. Nothing is caught on and turned to fire. You've had some success, but a lot of it was just
it's just steady organic growth. But to be perfectly honest, what I consider the most success from the podcast is the doors it's opened for me to talk to people who are in this industry that I'm trying to learn more about and trying to do professionally myself. So it's allowed me that experience to where now I guess my scheme is I'm working as a trader full time. There's no scheme. It's a lot of work. You actually are doing something. It's not just waking up and being like, I feel like making money today. Click to the make money button. There's a lot of risk management, and there's a lot of psychology behind it. If I'm having a bad day, like this actually happened to me last week. I woke up and my mouse was broken on my computer. So I was like, fuck. So I have to drive to the Super Walmart at 6. They open at 6 a.m. So I'm there at 6 a.m. waiting when they open the doors, and I walk in and I buy a mouse, and I'm going home and I'm struggling. I get it hooked up, and then one of my monitors goes out and I'm struggling. I got that, and my internet cuts out. I got to reboot that. And then by the time I started trading, I had the worst trading day I've ever had because I was psychologically I was off my morning routine. I was just having failure after failure. Like things just weren't working. And it put me in the place where I wasn't able to work. It's amazing. And that's not something I've ever dealt with in the last few years, because I've been working at a hotel where it doesn't matter my state of mind. I'm able to show up and do my job adequately. Right. And now I'm in this job where like, if I'm sick with the flu, I'm not showing up to trade because my brain isn't sharp. I can't pay attention to all the things I need to be paying attention to day trade these futures contracts. It's crazy.
And futures is what you're really interested in right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you feel like you don't feel like you're taking on yet another
scheme?
Well, right. You barely got the hang of like options, right? And you're still kind of getting
crazy,
used to
man.
reading stop. Yeah. And so now futures, Do you feel better about?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I don't
why
know
I
what
left.
exactly I'm
Why
asking, but
I went professional with futures instead of options and stocks is first of all the technical analysis skills all apply to all of them, right? You're still talking about auction theory, buyers and sellers of a contract or share, if you will. That ongoing market auction of many sellers and many buyers. That social science is the same whether it's stocks, options, or futures, or currencies, right? It's still the same. You're just changing the product, but it's still ultimately the same system that you're trying to exist in, right? You want to buy these things at a lower price and sell them at a higher price, or if you're playing the other way, you want to sell them at a higher price and buy them back at the lower price. Um, but futures to me, like once I learned more about all of them and got some experience with them, futures are like the least risky. Like options, if the trade turns against you, you can lose so much money so fast. Like for example, if I'm buying options contracts at and I buy them in the morning and the price goes up $1, they go up this much, right? And then the price decides, oh, right now we're going to go down 75 cents. My options might be worth less than when I bought them in the morning, even though the stock itself, the underlying security, is up 25 cents. Like
right.
Options, you can lose that money so fast. But with futures, it's up and down the same amount for each point on the futures scale or on the price.
Yeah. Is it terribly different from just trading stocks?
Yeah, because the margin requirements are different. Like if I'm day trading, I only need to have like $400 in there for every contract I'm trading. Granted, if I were to trade that contract and lose more than $400, then I'm going to get a margin call. They're going to shut me down. But for 1 hour a day, the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, shuts down, and anything can happen in that hour, right? That's going to affect the market average or the price of oil or the price of pork, right? Anything could happen. So all of a sudden, the margin requirement goes from like $400 to, I don't know if it's 4,000 or 40,000. It multiplies greatly. So I'm not. This is different in that, like, I used to buy options and like hold them for a few days or even sometimes a few weeks. But in futures, I need to be in cash when that hour hits. Like, I don't want to hold any contracts to hit that point where they're like, oh yeah, it used to be $400 a contract, but you've got 3 of them. Yeah, now we're going to need $12,000 instead of $1,200. Like, I don't want to do that. No. So that's the difference. Is I'm actively day trading with an eye on being in cash. When I'm not trading, I'm in cash. There's no risk to me. Anything can happen in the market. I'm fine. I wasn't trading.
All right. It continues to be overwhelming. I've taken my one step at a time. And I mostly just find it so simple to trade stocks, and it's safe, and you can turn money around real quick. Day trading, I noticed in Robinhood, you need at least $25,000 or a portfolio value of $25,000.
Well, they all give you 3 or 4 a week.
Right. They give you 3.
So you can do 3, like 3 on, I think it's 3 on Robinhood without any penalties. Yeah. Like every week you can do 3-day trades.
But I can see myself just turning stocks around at 2 to 5% profits all day, every day, and just, you know what I mean? Like, it seems so easy to do that. But when you get stuck, with the limitations, because things are just fluctuating by a few percent. If you throw $1,000 at something and it moves 2%, as most things do that in a single day. Then
Well, yeah, if you're timing your entries right, it's easy. But like, what if you throw your money in and it goes 2% against you?
well, then yeah, you have to wait a minute. It might not happen that day,
Right.
but I think if you have no limitations, you have $25,000. You can just sit there and trade stocks and flip them and pull $100 a day out. Seems like pretty easily.
Well, I think the statistic is over 90% of people who try to become day traders fail.
Right.
Because like I mentioned earlier, the psychology of it, like it becomes a game of risk management. Because you're right, if you've got your method of analysis that's working for you, whatever it may be, fundamentals, technicals, both, maybe you like just like the magic 8 ball, it doesn't matter. If it's working for you, whatever it is you're doing, okay, well, you've got a repeatable process. But if you're not using proper risk management to size your positions, you can just hit a streak of bad luck where you're still making the decisions for all the right reasons, but shit happens and you're down. And if you're not properly risk managing and 4 trades take you down 50%, like that's a big problem. It's going to take you a long time. You're going to now have to double your money to make that up. You're going to have 100% gain to replace a 50% loss.
Right. Yeah. Or you need to add money while you wait for the thing to turn around.
Bring outside money.
But I tend to avoid setting any kind of stop limits. I'm looking at trailing stops and thinking more about how to use those.
Yeah.
I think you want, there's a lot of potential for those to work really well. But probably more on my long positions. Like one of the big projects for me this year was just to split Robinhood up and take my credit union IRA and combine them and get just a separate long-term portfolio going.
Mm-hmm.
And then have something that I can just try to pull a little cash out of once in a while. I still like Robinhood for that because it's like,
it's easy to pull up on your phone. Boop.
Fidelity's like driving a Cadillac, and it's like Robinhood's more like I don't know, a Tesla or something. It's just so much more automated and quick and easy to use it, get through. The interface is just so simple.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to let go of it. I know they pissed a lot of people off, and they weren't alone on all that shit though. I guess
they definitely were the leader that other people followed. Is why they get the anim. I know. I lived it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it happen too, but I wasn't sure who's. You think that they were the first brokerage to stop allowing purchases of GameStop?
Okay, let's get one thing clear real quick. And I've said the same thing on my show. Stop purchases. Stop retail purchases, because there can't be a trade if there's no buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, they were the first to shut down the buy side for their clients.
Right.
Their users, their retail users. They allowed their retail users to sell. Well, somebody has to be buying from the retail users in order to make that trade happen.
Yeah.
It takes 2 people. Okay.
This is the irony, because they got their clientele was the Wall Street Bets people like this.
Yeah.
These weren't people with old school brokerages. These were people that signed up for Robinhood and were just, yeah, it's weird.
And so, yeah, they're business partners, because that's how they let you trade for free, right? You're trading for free because they sell the order flow to a market maker who can then, like, if you're buying at $10, well, they'll find it for $9.98 and then sell it to you for 10. And so they're just making tiny fractions, but on every trade,
right,
they're making money hand over fist. They were
works for me if it works for them. I just don't want them to shut down my opportunities to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The problem is is when they shut down what you and I can do on the app, but not what their business partners are able to do, because it's
Right.
very, and in fact, some stuff came out recently that the Robinhood executives sold their stuff before they shut it down. Like, let's get out now before the price tanks.
Is it a couple days or something?
Yeah, a couple days.
I mean, they could have profited more if they, held it a day and a half longer, because it was just shooting up, man. It was nuts.
Sean, it's never gotten up to where it was before they shut down the buy side.
Yeah.
It's never gotten back that high. Like they screwed it, because that ape mentality was a self-fulfilling prophecy. If they hadn't shut it off, the squeeze was happening. It was happening because of the ape mentality of buy and hold, buy and hold, buy and hold. And they broke that. They said, now you can't buy and hold retails. Ha. And when there's more sellers than buyers, the price goes down. Now all you can do is sell. So you got people selling because they're panicking.
Yeah. It's a bad setup, because ultimately the only thing that needs to happen is like these naked shorts, is that the right term for this one? Because I've studied it, but I always forget exactly how the mechanism worked. But it's naked floating. It's floating.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We actually, on the podcast, we talked about it last, I think, November. GME shares, they had been shorted at 114%. And I was incredulous, because you can't have greater than 100% of something, right?
Right. But then it shot up even more.
No, what I'm saying is that, I don't know how high that short percentage got to, but
I think it was 138%.
You could go to a market maker and say, I want to short 10,000.
What just happened? You are still. Dan's image is frozen in my stream. I assume it looks that way to everybody else. So if nothing changes, I will just end it. Well, this has been so far yeah, he's gone. And there he goes. Well, I guess the man didn't like us talking about this. We're over. I am sitting in my basement in my house, in my little studio, doing my first live stream. And Mr. Leeson may join us, may not. But either way, I intend to do this more often. I intend to tie it in with OBS, get multiple guests. I intend to break back into podcasting. I had a podcast. I liked it. Here he's back. Let me put him back on the stream.
I don't know what that was. Anyway.
It was your slow internet.
It's not that slow anymore.
It's not that slow? How fast is it? What do you get? What's your downloads?
Yeah,
what's
it's
your
pretty
uploads?
Slow. That's the real problem, is my uploads are like under a megabit per second. No, I don't know what it's uploading right now. No, I don't know.
That can't be. That can't be. I think to do video, you need at least 5, but really 10.
I honestly don't know.
Better get that fiber. You got fiber down there in Tucson? Fiber optic?
I've not inquired. I live in a rural situation where I haven't looked into getting utilities for myself in a long time.
Do you live in that place that I visited? You were playing music at? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fucking wonderful place.
Yeah. I would say, as long as you are renting, that seems like the place to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, especially with the rental market in Tucson right now, like, why would I move on from such an amazing place? Yeah.
Although, yeah, it's crazy.
Trading futures, I'll be buying property all over the world any day now, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I would invest in some fiber optic. I mean, if you know, that's one thing I'm glad to have here. Philly does have very good internet, believe it or not. Even the poorest people have great internet. And
Bread and circuses, man. Bread and
yeah,
circuses.
well, I'm going to take advantage of it and get back into
Oh,
the
yeah.
wild world of podcasting. And maybe the position here, being out here closer to New York and stuff, if it ever goes somewhere, would give me some opportunities to do some in-person stuff, because that's all that I did before. When I podcasted before, everything was in person. That's just how I preferred it, but it meant like interviewing nothing but locals in
Locals.
my town, you know.
Yeah.
And I could have, although, you know, I never interviewed you when I was in town. I should have been more open to just interviewing whoever the fuck. Didn't matter. All my friends, it should have been everybody I knew. Because they're like, I mean,
Was it hurt?
yeah. Well, because that's what I was doing at the time. It was more about interviewing artists. What I was trying to spin at that time was artists talking about current events, like artists talking about philosophical and other topics. We haven't even touched AI bots yet. I'm going to marry that AI
Oh,
bot
that's right.
from Saudi Arabia,
Oh,
so I can get
she
some
is
of
a
that oil
doll,
money.
isn't she?
She's a
Oh,
doll, literally. She's a doll.
literally. She's a doll.
But I can see this woman. What's her name?
I don't remember.
I really think that this bot is going to remain. They gave her like status, like citizenship status or
They
something.
did. They did made her a legal citizen in Saudi Arabia. This AI powered android bot,
Right.
the creepy human like face.
So, yeah, I think the main thing about that bot is that it learns facial expressions and replicates them. So she is
Yeah,
very expressive,
and
but
tries to make
clearly
eye
not that
contact.
smart. Right.
No, not smart at all yet.
Because yeah, when he said he thought he was going to get a no when he asked the
He even
guy.
said, "Please say no."
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, what was the question he asked? Are you going to kill all humans? Please say no.
And then she said, "Okay, I'll kill all humans."
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
problem.
So
I'll get around to it.
that's goes to show how easily programmable they will be when time comes. But I could see this consciousness being moved from an updated models of this woman, right, until they eventually become like the replicants.
Walking replicant. Yeah. Well, here's the crazy thing that I was thinking, and I was speaking with a couple different friends the last couple weeks about AI. Because so many different countries are working on it. So many different people are working on it for different reasons. One way or another, like either a narrow focused AI or even just a broad general like learning AI. There will come a time when that AI is only any good and it's only successful if it's able to learn and think and be intelligent, right? That's the goal of any one of these all over the world that they're trying to develop. There will come a time when it reaches a level of awareness where it can lie to us and cover its tracks, and we'll never know.
Yes, these are the concerns. Some of the concerns.
Like that's inevitable. If you're doing a good job programming the AI, it will learn to lie. Think about toddlers. A lot of toddlers have a problem with lying, even when it's obvious, and they've got like
hopefully
the fucking ice cream all over their face. Were you eating ice cream? No.
Exactly. Well, hopefully then it'll be that obvious when they start to learn to lie.
Did you kill all humans? No.
Yeah. No. It was the police. I think you should defund them. Let me be the police.
Those AI, I was going to say, the robots are taking those cops' jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll all regret having robots everywhere.
It's coming up on an hour, which I think was my goal. to
Yeah.
do
All
this
right.
for.
Fantastic.
I wonder if we've covered it. No, I think the thing is that I just want to do this regularly and just ramp it up. So we can do this
Okay.
again anytime if you know,
All right.
you feel like it. Anytime your internet gets faster anyway. Just kidding.
Oh,
This.
I'm trying to start beef already. I will tweet trollish things at you so bad, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could dig more into markets, more into
Oh yeah.
all kinds of shit,
Yeah.
but it's amazing how quickly an hour goes by.
Oh, especially when you're drinking and smoking weed like I am. It's like I just blinked. Oh, hey, it's
I,
already over.
I only had one beer,
Oh,
which is good.
oh
I had
yeah.
a kind
All
of a
things in
drinky,
moderation.
I had a bit of a drinky weekend.
Yeah.
To be honest, little bit more whiskey than usual, more
Okay.
than I think is ideal.
Do you sip it or do you mix it with stuff?
Just shoot it, baby.
Just shoot it. Okay.
Yeah, it's bourbon and beer backs. There's a place. There's a bar down here that still has it's cash only, and they have these 70-year-old musicians that have been playing there for decades every Friday night. I don't know exactly how old they are. They're elderly. They are all. They're the AARP house band. Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
they've been playing there forever. But all these young people come and jam there. I mean, just like college students, all these people come to this bar and watch these guys play basically jazz. They're basically a jazz group. But the citywide special, their special is $4, Jim Beam, can of Pabst, and the night just seems to roll.
$4 for a shot of Jim Beam and a can of Pabst.
Right. So you're
Oh
just, it
wow.
just seems like, yeah, you're just going through those like crazy. And they're pulling money in Hanover. That place was so busy. I think it was so busy, I think, because it's one of the only places with live music that doesn't check for a vax or anything. I think personally that's my theory. I've never seen it so busy.
Wow.
And it was just packed. Certainly super spreader event.
Oh yeah. I've seen a few Tucson events that I just think it's people are psychologically fucking ready to go out and do stuff. Like,
hell yeah,
no matter how
especially if
much
you've been double
self-control they
vax. You're
have.
like, God damn it, I earned this.
Right. I'm not scared of going to this function.
I'm not. So I've been just anxious. I haven't been dancing properly in forever. Properly dancing.
Properly danced.
One of my favorite places is Club Congress. I love every time I'm in Tucson, go to Club Congress.
Oh, it's a great place
For dancing. It's a great
place.
It is a great bar. So hopefully we'll see you there sooner than later. I don't think I'm coming down for the holidays, but we'll all get down there this weekend.
Okay.
Can't miss an Arizona trip.
Well,
but let's do live stream again before I do the full on podcast. And when I do, the Bulls ought to be on that show.
Okay. No, we'll set it up for sure. For sure.
And Kyle's been asking me about when am I going back on? And what are we going to talk about?
Oh, has he? Well, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? You want us to try and walk you through options again?
Yeah, I think we should talk about options, but also I think you had a fun show not long ago. You had a couple. I don't know who those guys were exactly. I forget who they were. Were they comedians?
3 guys, the Botcast?
Yes, it was like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, those guys were fun.
Right. And you touched on something. I said you could do a whole show on that, which you said like anything Kramer says, do the opposite.
Yeah.
And so I think it'd be fun to talk about that a little bit more. Like
just have a weekly show where we talk about doing the opposite of what Kramer just said. That would be hilarious.
That could be a whole show. Just review his whole show. Download it. Say, here's why this is bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not what I meant. I just meant, it seems to me there's so many news articles that are designed to get people to buy a stock because it's going to be dumped.
Yeah. I agree. The longer I've paid attention to this and the more I do it every day, the more I'm convinced that, there's a lot of media, whether it's being shared through Reddit or being posted on a news website like NBC, Bloomberg, Fox, Motley Fool. It's like, oh, you should all buy this stock for these reasons. And it's because the people who currently have that stock want to sell it and they need someone to sell it to before the bad thing happens.
There you go. I think you could track a handful of those type of events. It seems like it's rampant.
Well, it is. And to me, I know we got to go. To wrap that up, the problem is there's no one bad source, because even a guy like Kramer has to be right enough of the time for people to still believe him.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a game of timing. Like you said, if you buy a stock and it goes down the next day, you just hold on till it goes up. Well, so since from the time you buy it to the time you sell it, there's probably several times where you're both right and wrong to have it.
Right.
And so a lot of these news stories can fall under that category too, where they're like, well, we were right to say to buy it then, but not here. But I definitely think that media narratives try to push the stock market in a big way. And there are just as many false ones as there are true ones. Yeah. So you gotta really play detective.
Yeah. Yeah. There could be a whole show on that.
For sure.
All right, man. Thanks for doing my first live stream.
Hey, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here. Everybody go check out Two Bulls in a China Shop podcast. Yes. It's a fun time.
And follow them on Twitter, YouTube.
Twitter. And I don't know if we're on YouTube. I think we got some YouTube stuff. Yeah, we're on YouTube. Two Bulls in a China Shop. Financial Ineptitude. We got a website. We do things. I'm just, not the one that does all of them.
All right. Well, here's to doing more things. Good catching up with you. Talk to you soon.
Likewise. We'll talk again soon. All right, man.
Peace, brother.